All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're going to explore this incredible, ancient framework for understanding human consciousness. It comes from a mystical tradition called Gnosticism, and it's basically a map of the soul's journey, and you'll see it's just as relevant now as it was thousands of years ago. You know, it really all kicks off with a feeling, a question that I bet almost everyone listening has asked themselves at some point. Is this really all there is? That little nagging sense that there's some hidden layer to our existence? Well, that's exactly what the ancient Gnostics built their entire worldview around. And at the absolute core of their quest was this one single powerful idea: Gnosis. Now, this isn't knowledge you get from a book or from a teacher. Nope. It's a direct, it's personal, it's an experiential wisdom that bubbles up from deep within your own being. And honestly, understanding this one concept, Gnosis, is the key that unlocks their entire map of reality. So, to really get this map of humanity, you first have to understand their map of the cosmos. And it's a bit of a cosmic drama, actually. They saw our material world as an imperfect place, kind of like a shadow of a perfect divine realm of pure light and consciousness. And here's the kicker. According to the Gnostics, our true self isn't our body. It's not our personality. It's not our job. It's a tiny fragment of that divine light, a spark that got trapped here in the material world. It's like we're all walking around with this profound spiritual amnesia, having totally forgotten where we came from. So the whole point of life? It's to wake up and remember. Okay, so how does this actually show up in people? Well, the Gnostics saw the first level of consciousness as what they called the Hylic type. This is someone who is completely 100% identified with the physical material world. And man, the Gnostics had a way with words. They described this perspective so perfectly. The Hylic is earthbound. For them, reality is what you can see, touch, taste, and measure. If it doesn't register on the five senses, it might as well not exist. Think about it like this, and this is a really powerful way to picture it. Imagine you lived your entire life in a room that had no windows. You'd have zero concept of the sun, the moon, the stars, or the huge world just beyond those walls. Your entire reality would be limited to that room. That's the Hylic perspective. So when you boil it down, the Hylic mindset is all about that material focus. Life is basically just a series of reactions to outside events, chasing pleasure and running from pain. Those deep existential questions about why are we here, they just don't really come up, because from this point of view, the world just is what it appears to be. Simple as that. But what happens when a little crack of light appears in that windowless room? Well, that's where we meet the second type, the psychic. This isn't about telling the future. It's about the soul, the psyche, finding itself at a crossroads, caught right between the material world and this dawning feeling that there's something more. This state is really defined by a deep inner conflict. The psychic type has, like the quote says, one foot in both worlds. They've started to question things, to feel that deep ache for meaning, but they're still being pulled back by the logic and the demands of the material world. It's a real tug-of-war. This next metaphor is, honestly, it's brilliant for understanding this state. The psychic person might be a philosopher, or a theologian, or just a really dedicated seeker who reads all the spiritual books. They have all the maps, all the charts, they know the theory inside and out, but they haven't yet had that direct, life-changing experience of Gnosis. They haven't actually set sail. So yeah, this is really the state of questioning, of seeking. There's this genuine gut feeling that there are deeper realities, but oh man, what a struggle to get there. They ask the biggest questions imaginable, but might get stuck in their own head, clinging to ideas instead of diving into direct experience. The most important thing, though? They are standing right at the doorway to transformation. So what's on the other side of that door? What happens when you finally set sail? Well, that's the final stage of this whole journey, the pneumatic type. This represents a consciousness that has fully, truly awakened to its real spiritual nature. And this metaphor, wow, it's just beautiful, isn't it? The pneumatic person no longer identifies with the temporary vehicle, the body, the personality, the candle. They've remembered that they are the fire itself, that divine spark. And yet, they still exist in their physical form, lighting up the world around them. And from that awakened state, your whole perspective just shifts. It's like you're an eagle soaring high above everything. You can see the whole landscape, the way everything connects, the hidden patterns of existence that are totally invisible when you're just stuck on the ground, caught up in the details. You see, for the Pneumatic, it's not about believing anything anymore. It's about direct, first-hand experience. That's Gnosis. Their focus shifts from frantically doing things to simply being in this awakened state, and right action just flows from that. They see the unity behind all the world's divisions and are guided by this deep, unshakable inner authority that's way beyond any external rule or dogma. Okay, so when you lay it all out side by side like this, the whole journey just clicks into place, right? You can literally see the progression. You go from this outward focus on survival and pleasure to this inward turn driven by questioning and seeking, and finally to this transcendent focus on liberation and true unity. It's a clear path from being asleep to being wide awake. That here's something that is absolutely crucial to remember. These aren't like permanent personality labels you stick on people. The Gnostics saw this as a dynamic map, not a set of rigid boxes. It describes a journey of consciousness that anyone, and I mean anyone, can undertake at any time. And this whole journey isn't about escaping the world or floating off into the clouds. It's about figuring out the central paradox, this key teaching. How do you engage with life completely, but from a place of inner freedom, where you're no longer defined or controlled by all the world's drama? So how does somebody actually move between these states? What's the catalyst? Well, that first shift from Hylic to psychic is often triggered by a shock to the system, a personal crisis, or maybe seeing something so beautiful it breaks your heart open, something that just shatters that old materialist view. But that final leap from psychic to pneumatic, that comes from deep inner work, a process of letting go and surrendering the need to understand everything so you can finally, directly experience it. You know, maybe the most poetic way to grasp this entire journey is with one simple, elegant metaphor. Let's start with the Hylic state. Think of it as ice. It's solid, it's fixed, it's confined to a specific material form. It seems totally separate and unchanging. But what happens when that ice starts to melt? It becomes water. And that's our psychic state. It's fluid, it's adaptable, it's searching. It can flow and explore and take the shape of its container. But it's still bound by gravity, still tied to the earth. And then, finally, with enough energy, enough heat, that water transforms into vapor. And that, right there, is the pneumatic state. It's liberated from form. It's expansive. It rises naturally toward a higher realm, completely free from its old earthly constraints. Ice, water, vapor. It's all the same stuff, right? Just in different states of awareness. And that brings us to this incredible, mystical invitation from an ancient Gnostic text. The journey it's talking about, it's not out there somewhere in the world, it's about turning our awareness inward. The Gnostics believed the map, the key, and the potential are already inside each and every one of us, waiting. So really, the only question left to ask is, where are you on the journey?